right, Frank. As it tends to be a long-standing tradition here in the Huddle, we always like to do a coach's corner here. Not necessarily every week, but one of the things we've done over the years is have on coaches who've just received their first career head coaching win. And there was a big one this weekend because we talked about this as the week of first, and it gave this program their first win in almost a year and a half. So without further ado, a longtime friend of the program, kind of more in the background, but now front stage and center, the head coach of Wilkes University, Jon Drach. Welcome to In the Huddle.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, Frank and James. I mean, it's good to be here.
Now wait a minute. I smell some home cooking going on around here somewhere. This little Hobart connection James has got going on. And he's got Ali Marpet's jersey on. I'm smelling a rat here a little bit, but you know what? I will let this one go because you deserve the kudos for your first head coaching win. Coach, tell us how it felt. What did the team say to you after the game, and what did you say to them for that matter?
I mean, I just couldn't be more happy for them and for the university, and they put a lot of work in, and they really did the things we asked them to do when we came in, and really bought in to what we were selling to them, and they did all the work, not me. So proud of them, proud of our staff that we were able to come together for a really close win.
Well, Coach, one of the reasons why I think you got the job was your success in all those Airshow offenses that we saw, back at Hobart. Some of the players that you developed, like Shane Sweeney, Brandon Shedd, and others. You guys passed for almost 350 yards. Is there a new Airshow going on down there in Wilkes-Barre, or is it just how the game evolved? When you guys were playing the Dutchman.
I think that's kind of how the game evolved a little bit. We have slowed it down considerably from what we were the last couple of years up at Hobart, really speeding it up. But I mean, Shane Sweeney's on my staff, Jack Foles on my staff, and all those guys have been a big part of what we're building here at Wilkes University. And I think that for us to have a lot of those connections and to have a lot of those ties to Hobart is great. I mean, I appreciate my time there, and I really appreciate getting to know a lot of the people I got to know through there. And that put me on the path to where I am right now. And I'm very thankful for that. At the same time, I think we're kind of making our own footprint here, and we're excited about that.
Now, wait a minute. Shane Sweeney, Jack Foles, these are like more Hobart names from recent days. What is going on here? I mean, was it easy to lure them down to Wilkes? I mean, to come coach with you? How did that even get set up?
I think so. I think we've had a great relationship ever since I had a chance to coach Shane and Jack. And there's more than that. I mean, Tom Elder is our special teams coordinator. He was a linebacker for Hobart for a good long time and a captain. Kelvin Cruz. Works with our tight ends and our fullbacks. I mean, there's a lot of connections. Those guys know how to win, and they did it for a really long time. And I think if you can surround yourself with people that know how to win and teach that, it's just going to make you much, much better as a program. And when we go play close games like that, we had a close game in week 1 against Hartwick, and we learned from some of the mistakes we made there, and we were able to turn that around and turn that into a win against Lev Val, which we haven't beat Lev Val in almost 10 years. 2010 was the last time we were able to beat them. In the last 2 years here, I believe the score was 44-7 and 38-0. So we made some ground up, and I think our kids really have bought into what we're doing, and I think they can now see some of the results from buying in.
We appreciate folks' patience. We know his video is a little glitchy, I think, on his end, unfortunately, but we can hear him loud and clear. So that's back to the old audio days when it comes down to that. But, Coach, the MAC this year, some people would say is a down conference compared to last year or the year before that. You're a team, though, that a lot of people saw maybe even last year beginning to poke through, and obviously now with your arrival, you've poked them fully through to the win column. What did you inherit, and what have you been able to do to give it your own flavor at this point?
I think we inherited a good group of kids that want to work extremely hard. I think that's the biggest thing that we inherited. And they wanted some change. I think we've been using the hashtag Be The Change quite a bit on our Twitter feed and
1%.
Whatnot, and 1% as well. We just want to get a little bit better all the time. And I think that our kids have really bought into that. And but we have talent too. I mean, we're not devoid of talent by any means. People that say the MAC may be a little bit down, I don't know if they've watched Del Val play very much. We have them this weekend. That is not a down football team. Stevenson, and a couple of others they're good quality football opponents, and I think that our conference can match up with most of the conferences across the country for sure.
Yeah, your quarterback was Jose Tabura, was named the MAC Offensive Player of the Week for the 337 yards passing. I think he also scored the winning touchdown there for you guys in overtime. Coach, that the game you guys had was a little back and forth there, where Laval was leading, and then you guys had the lead, and sort of they came back to tie it at the end. For a team like yours that's been so close to getting that first win, what were you telling them kind of going into that overtime period? So they just they came close against Hartwick, but just a little bit short. Did you guys feel confident going in there? How do you keep the team on track when they've had the lead, it disappears with 22 seconds left, it's a tie ball game, and you're going into OT?
Yeah, we thought we could maybe win it in regular time. We've won games with less time before. Going back to WPI and Shin Sweeney and Jack Full a few years ago. And so when those guys are on their staff and they're telling their kids that, hey, this is more than enough time, I think that it gave the kids a lot of confidence. And we've talked about it all the time, that we just have to keep fighting. It's something for us as a program that we just are going to be workmanlike, everything we do. And every time we have an opportunity, when they turn the clock off is when we stop playing. And if that's OT, if that's 7 OTs, then we're just going to continue to play all the way through that. And I think our kids had confidence. Jose Tabora is a confident kid. On top of throwing for 350, I think he almost ran for 100 as well. He's a pretty dynamic football player. And when he has the ball in his hands, he's difficult to handle. And it gives the guys around him a lot of confidence.
So, Coach, when you came in, what kind of plan did you kind of sell the team on, the athletics department on? Is it a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 4-year plan? And what do you benchmark this year for? How do you basically look back at this year when it's done and say, yeah, it was a success, we're on our schedule, or we got a little bit of work to do next year? How do you approach it when you come into a program that was an offer and now you're trying to turn it around?
I think we benchmark it every day. We talk about it every day of going and get that 1% and just being better. I think having that attitude and benchmarking it actually academically is a huge portion to us. We were able to raise the team GPA just in the one semester we were here by 0.2 of a point, which is fantastic, and we want to continue to grow that. And those little things are attention to detail things that we can continue to build on. And those are the things that are going to help us to be successful when it's all said and done. The wins and losses right now will come. Our goal is that we're in every game. We want to be competitive. We want to be playing in the fourth quarter for a win. If we can do that, then we've set ourselves up and been effective in the red zone, and we haven't turned the football over. And if we can do those things, we're going to be a good football program moving forward.
Now, let me just clear up one thing. You're basically saying that JB would not be eligible to play for your team because of these higher academic standards that you're employing at Wilkes right now. Is that correct?
Come on, man.
So,
all right, let's.
JB's cutting you off. He's cutting off your sound, basically. He doesn't want your answer to be heard by the masses out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, JB.
Well,
Go ahead.
Now we got to talk about something. Now we got to talk about something important. And this is a question that I have, especially when it comes to athletic administration. And I know it's important in recruiting. You can see I got the jersey on here, and I know a big part of the new Drach regime was these. They've got the different colored helmets. They've got the different colored jerseys. It's almost like University of Oregon is coming down into Wilkes-Barre, and they've got all these different uniform combinations and all this stuff, which is it's the football culture we live in. When you look good, you play good. Now, so Coach, is this something that the athletic director and you sort of worked on together? Did it when you got there, where you're like, okay, I need some resources to if we're going to really change things up, let's change the uniforms. Let's have some different combinations to mix things up. Is this kind of the stuff that you deal with now as a head coach, or is this really more kind of coming from the athletic director saying, okay, we've got a new head coach, we've got a new program coming in here, let's sort of change it up, and here's some new uniforms and stuff like that? How does that all work at the D3 level, Coach?
I think it comes as drive from the staff and the coach. It was something that we had in mind when we took over, is the fact that we wanted to update our outward appearance a little bit more, I would say. I think that for us, we hadn't changed very much in a long time. And the gold is actually a harken back to the Golden Horde, because we used to wear golden helmets. And when we played in national championships and we won consecutive MAC conference championships, we were wearing gold. It's also a safety issue. We're the only team in the MAC right now that puts every one of our kids in a brand new SpeedFlex helmet. It's a huge thing for us. We track all the concussions. Every one of those helmets has a sensor in it, so we can see when the kids are getting hit, and we can take precautions that way. I mean, it's a huge thing for me as far as player safety goes, is that we put our kids in the best possible equipment we can possibly put them in. So it looks good and it's functional as well. At the same time, play good. You said it the best. You have the most swag. You're gonna have leg on the field.
That's right,
Coach. Do you miss Hobart? That's a question that JB can't really ask, but I will ultimately. Do you miss the atmosphere, the fans, the school itself?
I love the program. I love the kids. I've recruited a good handful of those kids that are on that program right now. I'm thankful for everything that program gave me, and I'm thankful that it put me here. I'm where I'm supposed to be.
There you go. JB,
Speaking of the kids, how are your little guys doing? How do they like living in Pennsylvania compared to New York?
They love it. They love it. We're in the mountains now, so we live up in Mountaintop, and they're having a great time. They go to daycare, maybe a 10-minute walk from my office, so I can go down and see them midway through the day, take swim lessons.
Awesome.
It's awesome. They're doing great. My little boy plays football every day. He's almost at every practice. He's a wild card. He is not a quarterback. He's going to be a linebacker. He is a different type of cat. And then my daughter is a little bit tougher than he is. So she's 1.5, and she's walking all over the place. And they're a blast, to say the least.
JB, I was going to ask you earlier, sorry to try to interrupt you there, but is he always this mild-mannered, or does he get a little fire under his belly when the time arises and there's a need for it? Because he's very even keel right now. It's very dulcet.
Yeah. I think this is, we're catching him in office hours, Coach Drach, but there's a different game day Coach Drach that I've seen. And, there's definitely the fire in the belly and the competitiveness. He wants to win, and I'm sure he's going to pick up a lot of wins. Maybe even, you've got a tough task this weekend against Del Val. Like you said, you haven't beaten those guys in a while, but you got over the hump with Lebanon Valley. What kind of effort do you think would it take to knock off the Aggies this weekend?
We just got to be really, really disciplined in our assignments, and we got to be very, very physical. They're an extremely fast defense, and they're very talented on offense. When you give them a window, having a senior quarterback like this Jon Drach, he's a very, very talented young man, and he can hurt you with his legs and hurt you with his arms. So we're going to have to play disciplined football. Control the football, don't turn it over, make first downs when we have an opportunity to, and capitalize on their mistakes. If we can do that, we'll be right in the game in the fourth quarter, and that's where we'll go win it.
If you can do that, we'll probably have a player guest on our show from Wilkes coming up, because it'll be an upset special indeed. Yes, Del Val may not be ranked as high as they were, let's say, last year to start the season, but they are still in the rankings and representing the MAC. Can you take down the Goliath inside your conference? We shall see. Coming up. Best of luck to you on this one, Coach.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it.